This podcast is brought to you by Radio 786.
The long-serving executive member of Hajj Watch, Imran Muqaddam, he stepped down. A couple of weeks back, he wrote a letter posted to his social media, in which he accuses the leadership of profound betrayal. In fact, he says it is a profound moral betrayal. At the heart of the fallout is a supposed secret collaboration with the Democratic Alliance that reportedly sabotaged a legal case against the South African International Relations Department and SAUK. Muqaddam claims the move undermined urgent legal action and now compromised the organization's integrity. Imran Muqaddam joins me now on the line. Assalamu alaikum to you. Thank you very much, certainly, for your time. Maybe just to start off, what exactly was or is Hajj Watch that you were a part of for, I think you said 15 years or so, and why you believe what Hajj Watch was it doing at the time that that was compromised by talks with the Democratic Alliance?
Assalamu alaikum, Tashriq, and to the listeners. Yes, Hajj Watch was formed, I think, in 2005 or earlier, when the first real ramifications of the SAUK ministerial mission, or the SAUK Hajj mission, and the implications of that was sort of identified. And when the founders of Hajj Watch, identified that Muslim pilgrims can be and are being restricted, and also that there is this monopoly happening, and then Hajj became quite a lucrative business. After the establishment of SAUK, there was a lot of justification for SAUK to exist. I still agree with a lot of that in terms of the services provided, the control of operators, regulation of operators, ensuring that Hujjaj are not being mistreated and done in. So all of those justifications. But Hajj Watch essentially was resisting SAUK and trying to get a system that was more amicable for the Hujjaj. And they did a lot of good work. They still do. In the beginning, a lot of what SAUK is now developed into was at the the agitation of Hajj Watch. A lot of the programs and protocols that was introduced was because Hajj Watch identified these loopholes. And
And maybe then just to fast track things then along, what was Hajj Watch's position on what it thought SAUK's role was in the administration of Hajj?
Well, eventually, Hajj Watch's position was that SAUK needs to disband, that SAUK had overstepped and overreached the mandate, and the fact that they did not have a proper mandate, they did not have a mandate, legislative mandate, they did not have a right to represent Hujjaj or represent South Africa as a Hajj mission, and that was the main impetus for a lot of the, debates that we were having with the then still Department of Foreign Affairs, and then later on Department of International Relations and Cooperation, is that SAUK was SAUK in South Africa, but when they were in Saudi Arabia, they were the South African Hajj mission. So they were masquerading as something that they were not. They were basically committing fraud in the name of Hujjaj, and then signing international protocols with a foreign government. And these protocols and these agreements had direct impact on South African citizens. And in that way, a lot of the constitutional rights of South African citizens were being impacted. And when I got involved around 2010, this was the main argument that I sort of wanted Hajj Watch to take up, is that there was constitutional violations and that they were acting outside of the constitution of the country.
And with that in mind, there was proximity then of Hajj Watch to the CRL Commission. These are, chapter institutions of the Constitution that Hajj Watch made what submission exactly to? Or what is it that at that CRL Commission did Hajj Watch position itself as in relation to Hajj and the administration by SAUK?
Well, Hajj Watch positioned itself as a consumer interest group under the Consumer Protection Act. Um, and as such, they made representations to the CRL Commission, to the Public Protector, to the President's Office, to the Hajj Ministry in Saudi, and also to DIRCO and to the Competition Commission. So this has been a long process of trying to get the state to intervene in the abuses that Hujjaj had been subjected to. So at the CRL Commission, the same arguments were made that Saudi does not have a mandate, that they don't conform to a regulatory body in terms of recourse, in terms of structure, and that they are acting unilaterally. Their decisions are arbitrary. There's no room for appeals. These were all issues that we raised at the CRL Commission and with DIRCO and with even the President's Office. Way back in 2014, we wrote to the President's Office. We made appeals to the Public Protector. The outcome was that the CRL had this fact-finding situation, and then there was like a summit or a meeting, and even then we were still making noises, and out of these noises, the Rasul Commission came, the Ministerial Commission on Hajj and Umrah, which headed by Ambassador Ibrahim Rasul, and that was in 2022, 2023. That report is still outstanding, but the preliminary reports that we've had from what is in the Rasul report and from his own statements was that they also found Saud to be outside of the constitution.
Okay, and it was then that you claim, or well, I'm not sure if you claim it, but in terms of my understanding that, through the Rasul Commission, the CRL, which is, of course, Commission, the Cultural, Religious and Linguistic Rights Commission, the Public Protector, the Consumer Commission, all of those platforms and avenues that were explored, it then turned, to a political office, and that office happens to be the Democratic Alliance. I spoke to that Hasina woman that is the representative of the DA on this particular matter, and they were raising similar questions about mandate and role of Sauk, this, that, and the other, and believing that, there can be a more universal approach to the administration of Hajj, and that is through the Nusuk system, and that is what I had spoken to Hasina about at the time. You're suggesting from the reading of your resignation letter that Hajj Watch had been in conversation with the Democratic Alliance, and on what basis?
You see, my objection is basically that a lot of the work that Hajj Watch has been doing, say, for the last 20 years, was given to the Democratic Alliance on a platter, not by Hajj Watch, but by certain individuals within leadership. And they had collaborated with the DA. Despite our objections, I objected vehemently from the start. I said there's just no ways that we can allow a party that supports Zionism to be this close to a struggle that is so near to the Muslim heart. And what happened was that we were on the verge of a number of processes was happening simultaneously. There was the ultimatum that the CRL gave to Hajj Watch, saying that they need to find a happy medium with the operators before they will be accredited or given a letter of accreditation to represent South African Hujjaj in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So that was the one process that was happening. There was the process with DIRCO themselves had distanced themselves from SAUC and saying that they have never given SAUC an official mandate to do what they're doing, despite the fact that DIRCO and the Consul General was present at all the signing of these agreements, basically giving credibility to this MPO to sign government-to-government agreements. So DIRCO was, as far as I'm concerned, our main target. And I've been saying this all along, is that we're focusing on SAUC, but the enabler was DIRCO. All of this was given to the DA. All this information was given to the DA. One of the members, in fact, admitted that she had been busy collaborating with the DA since as far back as 2022. And we also had the operator's case that went to court in 2022 that was settled mysteriously out of court for some or other reason. We had an advocate consultation with an advocate 2 weeks prior to this. 3 weeks ago, we had a consultation with an advocate and an attorney that was prepared to take on our matter as Hajj Watch and on behalf of operators pro bono. And so there was a lot of stuff happening. The motion without notice that was passed by the DA basically scuppered, and I wouldn't say use the word sabotage, but it scuppered all these processes and took away the urgency, because any party could have, and we've had approached Al Jamaa, and they had similar motions that was put before Parliament that was then non-urgent, but it was debated. The DA
so
put
then
in
just
a
to be
motion
clear,
of,
your issue is not, pursuing a political line or going through a political party, but your issue is fundamentally that this cannot be with the Democratic Alliance.
one of the issues is that it cannot be with the Democratic Alliance, and that they shouldn't have had access to that kind of information. Secondly, in order to have proper recourse and for justice for the Hujjaj to be, to be established, we needed to follow a legal process as well. And we were on the verge of getting an interdict. There was a meeting scheduled for I think 2 Saturdays ago with the operators in SAOK, where they were going to sort out the issues, and then there was going to be basically a vote of confidence in SAOK. And had SAOK gone ahead and acted unilaterally post that meeting, we were ready to go for the interdict the Monday morning. So there were a lot of processes happening, and the involvement of the DA.
And while these processes were happening, were you aware that? So sorry, I'm pushed for time, so I'm just trying to get in as much information. So while this was happening, these processes that you refer to, were you aware that, as you say, the leadership of Hajj Watch had been engaging in talks with the Democratic Alliance?
I was aware that Asina had raised these issues in Parliament. I was aware that some members were, in fact, discussing it with Asina, and I had objected to that vehemently. I was not aware of the motion of without motion. I was not aware that senior Hajj Watch leadership had assisted in writing that motion, and they had written that despite the fact that they knew that we were busy with the legal process. And the way it came out, it basically just disrupted everything that was happening, and then said, and a day afterwards, the Saudi embassy basically abolished SAOK.
And you then believe that the motion without notice, which is, MPs have a right to call for a motion. If there's no objection to it, it then carries. I never really know what the impact of these motions are, but you believe the impact here is the very next day, what was it, the ministry, or was it the consulate that decided that, no more SAOK and Nusuk is the way to go? Do you think that was the very real material impact of that motion?
That was the very real material impact, because up until then, the Saudi embassy and the Hajj ministry in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was awaiting a official engagement from DIRCO and from the CRL Commission. So there was a process of negotiation and communication between the two countries at the highest level. But if 400 members of parliament don't oppose a motion that calls for Nusuk to be implemented, any other foreign country will take that as a yes, this is the way to go. There was no more room for negotiation. There was no more room for, and the impact of this has been the reduction in our quota, number one. Number two, there's no transition from the current system of SAOK to Nusuk. There's no recourse for those 50,000 Hujjaj on the waiting list. So the impact of the DA's motion without notice is huge in terms of that it could have been done differently and it could have been managed better. And the fact that you're actually cooperating with a party that denies that there's a genocide happening in Gaza. So the moral compass of certain of the leadership of Hajj Watch is gone. They've lost the plot in terms of where they've aligned themselves with. There are, I think, 10 Muslim members of parliament. Why did they have to go with the DA? Al-Jamaa was working on this together with us. The advocate that was taking our matter to court did so under instruction of Al-Jamaa. So it's not as if the Muslim party in parliament was not doing anything. The Muslim party in parliament also wanted this process to be done in a manner that protected the interests of the Hujjaj first. And in this case, the interest of the Hujjaj was not protected.
Imran Mukaddam, thank you very much for your time. That's about as much time as we can squeeze in for this discussion. Thank you for having joined us. We'll ask Hajj Watch whether they're interested in a right of reply to this conversation, claiming here that because of Hajj Watch having moved things along with the Democratic Alliance, the net impact, of course, now is a move away from SAUG and the Nusuk system, which, of course, we've identified there to be numerous challenges in making that a particular transition.
This podcast is brought to you by Radio 786.